Chapter 1. The Valley. Dust drifted across the valley like a living thing, crawling through the air and clinging to the convoy as if the desert already knew which men would walk out and which would fall. 4 vehicles rolled through the narrow cut in the rock. 2 MRAPs in front, 2 Humvees behind. Steel and armor surrounded by cliffs of broken stone. The sky above looked washed out and tired, the color of bleached bone. Caleb Rook sat in the right rear seat of the third vehicle, a Humvee that rattled like it had too many stories stuffed into its frame. His rifle rested across his lap. His helmet pressed a faint groove into his forehead. Sweat trickled down the back of his neck, irritating skin already rubbed raw by sand and straps. He watched the right ridge through the scratched window. Nothing moved up there except the dust and the wind. That was what bothered him. Too still. Too neat. The headset crackled softly as someone in the lead MRAP laughed at a joke Caleb had not bothered to listen to. Voices layered over static, comfortable and careless. The way people sounded when they trusted the route, the briefing, the map, the armor. Caleb did not trust any of it. His eyes tracked the jagged crest of stone beside them. The ridge leaned over the valley like a crooked row of teeth. Shadows pooled in the cracks between rocks. Sunlight hit patches of shale and bounced back into his eyes in sharp flashes. He felt the wrongness in his chest first, a tightness that crept in around his lungs and sat there, heavy and unmoving. Something is off. He did not say it yet. He had learned a long time ago that speaking too soon only made people roll their eyes. So he watched, counted, measured. Sergeant Malloy's voice cut through the radio. 5 minutes through the cut. Then it opens up. Stay sharp. Eyes on the ridges. Caleb glanced at the front of the Humvee. He could see the back of Malloy's shaved head through the thin gap between the seats of the second MRAP ahead, just barely visible beyond dust and bulletproof glass. Even from here, the man radiated control, the kind of calm that made younger soldiers breathe easier. Next to Caleb, Torres bounced his knee against the floorboard, his leg a constant drumbeat. "You see that rock formation?" Torres said, nodding toward the ridge on their side. "Looks like an old man's face, mouth open and screaming." Caleb studied the pattern of stone and shadow. For a half-second, it did look like a face. Then it became just rock again. "You got a strange brain, Torres," Caleb said. Torres grinned, teeth bright against his dust-stained skin. "Keeps me entertained, Staff Sergeant. Better than thinking about the plumbing in this place." He tapped the door. "You ever think how much this sucks, man? All this armor, all this tech, and we are still driving through a place that looks like God got mad and forgot to finish it." Jameson spoke from the other side, near the left window. He had earbuds tucked under his helmet. Country music leaked faintly into the air between them. "Torres, you complain more than my ex-wife," Jameson said. "This beat is not that bad." "This beat is terrible," Torres shot back. "This valley is a perfect place for an ambush. Narrow, high ridges, no side routes. I saw this in a war movie. It ended with half the cast missing limbs." Torres laughed, but the sound had a thin edge. Caleb did not laugh. He kept watching the ridge, checked the shadows again, counted the rocks that looked big enough to hide behind, measured distance, thought about lines of fire, angles, blast ranges. That tightness in his chest did not go away. "Malloy," Caleb said into his radio, "this cut feel wrong to you?" A pause. Static hissed in his ear. "You see something, Rook?" Malloy's voice came back, steady. "Not yet," Caleb said. "Just feels like a funnel. No cover, no quick turn. All the things they teach you to avoid." Another pause. The lead MRAP slowed just a touch. Not much, just enough that the vibrations changed under Caleb's boots, a different rhythm in the hum of the engine. "We are clear on intel," Malloy said. "No heat signatures, no chatter. Relax. We are in and out. Relax." Caleb almost smiled. Malloy never used that word. Not out here. He shifted his gaze again. Dust rolled ahead of them in thin sheets. It clung to the back of the second MRAP, turning the taillights into dull red smudges. The radio murmured. Men breathed. Someone coughed in the rear Humvee. "Hey, Staff Sergeant," Torres said, staring at the ridgeline. "When we get back, you think they will finally fix the air conditioning in the barracks?" "Sure," Caleb said. "Right after they replace that coffee machine you keep breaking. That thing is a war crime." Torres chuckled and leaned back, but his eyes did not leave the rocks. For all the complaining, he trusted Caleb's instincts more than he joked about. Jameson peeled one earbud out and glanced at Caleb. "You got that look again, Rook," he said. "The one where you look like the ground insulted your mother." "Something is wrong," Caleb said. This time, he did not keep it in. Jameson's smile faded. He checked the ridge, too. "What do you see?" he asked. "Nothing," Caleb said. That was the problem. No heat waves from movement. No flash of metal, no glint of glass, no echo of distant voices. It was all too quiet, like the valley had taken a breath and was holding it. Caleb pressed his palm against the door. The metal vibrated under his hand, a steady hum from the engine and the wheels. He felt another vibration layered under it, faint and deep, a slow, distant thump that did not match their speed. His stomach dropped. "Malloy," Caleb said sharply into the radio, "stop the convoy. Something is under us." He felt the second deep thump through his boots this time, like a heartbeat under concrete. "Say again, Rook?" Malloy's tone changed, a hint of tension now. "IID," Caleb said. "I can feel it. Ground is wrong. We need to back out, now." The lead MRAP started to slow. The whole line shivered as the brakes engaged. Then, the valley exhaled. The first explosion did not sound like in the movies. It was not a clean boom. It was a ripping, a tearing, a violent punch to the air that seemed to pull the sound out of Caleb's chest before his ears caught up. The front MRAP lifted off the ground like a toy kicked by a giant. Fire blossomed under it in a dirty orange ball. Metal shredded. The vehicle tilted and crashed back to the dirt, one axle twisted like a broken leg. The wave hit the Humvee a heartbeat later, slamming into the side and throwing Caleb sideways. His head cracked against the window. Glass spiderwebbed in front of his face. Voices screamed over the radio, overlapping and sharp. "Contact! Contact! Contact! Front vehicle is hit! Get out! Get out!" The second explosion followed almost before the first finished echoing. The blast came from beneath the road this time, under the second MRAP as it tried to veer. The floor bucked. The vehicle ahead jumped, then folded into itself as fire shot from its undercarriage. Shards of steel and earth shot into the air like a storm of knives. Caleb's Humvee lurched. The driver cursed, fighting the wheel. The world became shaking and light, and noise, and grit. "Out!" Malloy yelled. "Everyone out! Move! Move!" The radio dissolved into chaos. The rear Humvee braked hard and slammed into them from behind, the impact jolting Caleb forward. Torres grabbed Caleb's sleeve. "Door!" They shoved the door open into a hot wind full of dust and smoke. Caleb's boots hit the ground, his lungs filled with air that tasted like burning rubber and soil. The scene ahead looked like a nightmare, being written in real time. The front MRAP burned, flames pouring from the driver's side. The second MRAP lay on its side, wheels spinning uselessly in open air. Bodies lay scattered in between, some moving, some not. Gunfire cracked from the ridges. Stone shattered nearby, spraying chips into Caleb's face. He ducked behind the Humvee, dragged Torres with him by the back of his vest. "Ridgeline, right side," someone yelled. Caleb peered around the hood. He saw figures now, finally, dark shapes moving fast along the ridge. Muzzles flashed. The echo of shots folded into the roar of fire. He shouldered his rifle and returned fire without thinking, picking targets by instinct, shooting short, controlled bursts. One shape crumpled, another dove behind a rock. "Jameson, left flank!" Malloy's voice cut through. "Rourke, cover!" Caleb pivoted, heart pounding, and saw Jameson sprinting toward a low rise of rock, trying to get a better line of sight. Bullets chewed into the dirt around him. Caleb fired at the muzzle flashes above Jameson. One of the shooters jerked and fell back, sliding down the slope. Another kept firing. Caleb traced the line, adjusted, shot again. The sharpshooter dropped out of sight. The air continued to scream. Someone near the front was yelling for a medic. Someone else was just yelling. Torres moved up beside Caleb, firing in short bursts. "If I live through this," Torres shouted over the noise, "I am suing whoever called this a routine sweep." Caleb almost told him to shut up, but the familiar complaining grounded him for a second, gave the moment shape. He saw Jameson reach the low rise and slide behind it, panting. Jameson flashed a thumbs up, then peeked over the rock and started shooting toward the opposite ridge. The crack of rifles rolled back at them. A round clipped the crown of Caleb's helmet. The impact snapped his head sideways. A thin line of heat burned across his scalp. He forced his breathing steady. Assessed. Front vehicle burning. Second overturned. Rear Humvee still intact somewhere behind. Enemy firing from multiple points on the right ridge. Maybe the left too now. Dust everywhere, turning the sun into a hazy smear. Rook, Torres, push right. Get angles on those shooters, Malloy yelled. Caleb and Torres moved, ducking low, boots kicking up dirt. They sprinted toward a broken section of the valley wall that jutted out, offering some cover. Another deep thump, softer this time, like something misfired. Caleb had just enough time to think. There were more charges before the third explosion hit. This one tore through the road between the second MRAP and their Humvee. The force flung Caleb off his feet. The world turned white and orange and brown. He felt himself lifted, weightless, then slammed into the ground. The impact drove the air from his lungs. His ears rang like they were full of bees. His vision narrowed to a tunnel of light and shadow. Something hot and sharp kissed his left side. For a moment he thought it was just shrapnel grazing him. Then the pain screamed. He tried to push himself up with both hands. His right palm pressed into the dirt. His left hand did not meet anything. He pitched forward, face hitting dust. The pain turned from sharp to a pulsing roar. Heat poured from the stump where his arm used to be. Confusion came first. His brain kept sending signals to fingers that were no longer there. The absence felt wrong in a way his mind could not accept. Torres lay a few feet away, half buried under dirt and metal. His leg twisted at a bad angle. Blood seeped through his uniform in a spreading stain. Torres, Caleb gasped, crawling toward him. Each movement left a faint trail of red in the dirt. The world staggered in and out of focus. Torres blinked up at him. Dust caked his eyelashes. Blood trickled from one ear. "That sucks," Torres whispered. His voice sounded far away. "Told you about the war movie." Caleb pressed his right hand against Torres's chest, trying to find where the blood was coming from. There was too much. It slipped between his fingers, warm and slick. "Stay with me," Caleb said. His own voice did not sound like his. "Breathe, Torres. Come on, breathe." Gunfire continued above them. The world outside this small patch of dirt and blood might as well have been on another planet. Torres's eyes fluttered. He stared at Caleb like he was looking at something behind him, something over his shoulder. "You got it, Rook," Torres whispered. "You always walk through. You are the piece that never falls." Then his chest stopped rising. The silence that followed inside Caleb's head cut deeper than the noise outside. He pressed harder, as if force alone could push life back in. His right arm trembled with effort. His left stump throbbed in time with his heartbeat, each pulse weaker than the last. "Torres," he said. Come on, man." No response, just blood, dust, and stillness. The air felt thick, heavy. The heat pressed down like a physical hand. Voices continued to shout. Somewhere, someone screamed his own mother's name. The burning MRAP crackled as fuel caught. That sound would stick to Caleb's memory forever. A low, hungry roar. Caleb lifted his head. His vision swam. Through the haze he saw movement on the ridge. Not the chaotic darting of fighters now. Something calmer. A small group of figures stood near the crest. 3 or 4 at first. Then he realized there were more behind them, partially hidden by rock. One stood slightly forward. Not shooting. Watching. The figure held binoculars to his face, calmly surveying the carnage below. His clothes blended with the stone, but there was a stillness to him that pulled Caleb's gaze like a magnet. Their eyes met, or at least it felt that way. Caleb could not see detail through the dust and light, but he felt the weight of that gaze land on him and linger. The binoculars lowered. The man tilted his head as if examining a piece of hardware, not a human being. Caleb tried to lift his rifle with his one good arm. It felt like it weighed 100 pounds. His fingers slipped off the grip. Blood smeared the stock. The man on the ridge turned slightly, speaking to someone beside him. Caleb saw only a profile now, a slice of jaw and cheek, a cap pulled low over his brow. The person next to him, another shadow among shadows, nodded. Through the ringing in his ears, Caleb heard a voice, faint, carried on the hot wind. "The survivor is secured." The phrase slid into his mind like a blade. Not rescued, not saved, secured. His vision narrowed further. The ridge blurred. The watchers became smudges of gray and black. Caleb tried to push himself up again, but his body refused. The pain in his side pulsed weaker. The world around him stretched, sound pulling away like it was moving down a long hallway. He tasted dust and copper. He thought of Elena's face, the way her eyes crinkled when she laughed. He tried to hold that image, but it flickered, fighting against the shrinking tunnel of consciousness. The last thing he saw was Torres's lifeless stare aimed at the sky, dust drifting down onto his cheeks like a light, dry snowfall. Then the valley went dark.